James had always struggled with money. It seemed like no matter how hard he worked, something always came up that drained his wallet. Bills, rent, car repairs, unexpected emergencies. His financial difficulties were relentless. He could never catch a break. His mind was constantly racing, thinking about how he could make ends meet, and the stress started to weigh heavily on him. At night, he would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, consumed by thoughts of his mounting debt and what the future would hold. Sleep, once a peaceful refuge, became an impossible dream. James had tried everything he could think of. He cut back on unnecessary expenses, picked up extra shifts, even tried borrowing money from friends and family. But still, the financial burden seemed never-ending. No matter how much he tried to control the situation, he felt like he was sinking deeper into a hole he couldn't climb out of. It wasn't just the lack of money that weighed him down. It was the constant worry. He would lay awake, heart racing, mind spinning with fear and anxiety about what was to come. His health started to decline, his relationships became strained, and he felt as though he was losing control of everything in his life. It wasn't until a close friend noticed his distress and recommended Cognitive Behavioural Thinking, CBT, that things began to shift. At first, James was skeptical. How could talking to someone and changing the way he thought about money possibly solve his problems? But he was desperate. He decided to give it a try. He met with a therapist who explained that financial difficulties weren't just about the numbers. They were deeply tied to the way he perceived and responded to money-related stress. Through CBT, James began to realize that his thoughts about money were often negative, irrational, and driven by fear. He had convinced himself that he would never get out of debt, that financial freedom was something only other people could achieve. These thoughts created a cycle of worry and helplessness, preventing him from taking the practical steps he needed to improve his financial situation. The therapist taught him how to challenge those negative beliefs and replace them with more realistic, constructive thoughts. For example, when James thought, "I will never be able to pay off my debt," he learned to reframe it as, "It will take time, but I can make a plan and take small steps towards getting out of debt." He learned to break down his financial goals into manageable pieces, rather than being overwhelmed by the big picture. He began focusing on what he could control, tracking his expenses, saving a little each month, and setting realistic goals. As he practiced these new ways of thinking, James started to notice subtle changes. He felt more in control of his finances and less overwhelmed by the thought of money. He was able to sleep better at night, not because his financial situation had magically improved, but because his mindset had shifted. He was no longer paralyzed by fear. He started taking actions that moved him toward financial stability, and those small wins gave him more confidence. James' story is not unique. Research has shown that our thoughts and beliefs about money can have a significant impact on our financial outcomes. According to a study published in the Journal of Consumer Research, individuals who held positive beliefs about their ability to manage money were more likely to engage in good financial habits and make sound financial decisions. Conversely, people who believed they were destined to fail financially were more likely to avoid dealing with their finances altogether, which only perpetuated their problems. As the famous philosopher Albert Ellis once said, "The art of love is largely the art of persistence." In many ways, the same applies to overcoming financial difficulties. It's not about expecting immediate results, but about consistently making better choices and sticking with them, no matter how difficult it may seem at first. With time and effort, James began to see his financial situation improve. It wasn't a quick fix, but every small step he took brought him closer to his goals. Eventually, he paid off his debts, built an emergency savings fund, and began to invest in his future. More importantly, he had regained his peace of mind. The sleepless nights of worry became a thing of the past. So, to anyone struggling with their own financial difficulty, remember this: It's not the situation that defines you. It's how you choose to respond to it. You can change the way you think about your financial challenges, and by doing so, you can change the course of your life. Take control of your thoughts, break free from the cycle of fear and worry, and start taking action today. The power is in your hands. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Lao Tzu. Don't wait for the perfect moment, because it may never come. Start small, think big, and keep moving forward. The peace you seek is closer than you think. Your financial freedom begins with the thoughts you choose to believe.